Okay, people, we have an Oscar winner in the house. Our next guest penned the groundbreaking award-winning film 12 Years a Slave. Now, writer, director, producer, and activist John Ridley is bringing his talents to the comic book world with The Other History of the DC Universe. He joins us now, and I already told him how much of a pleasure this is.
Thank you. You've made my morning. You've made my week.
What? All right, so I forgive you for making me cry a lot for 12 Years a Slave. Because you know when I met the cast here in New York, I brought my receipt for my makeup. I was like, you guys are paying for it because you messed it up. I was obviously talking to the wrong people because I should have tracked you down. But here we are talking about what I believe is a superpower of yours, your writing. And here we are talking about comic books. So why comic books? You've pretty much done it all. So why comic books? Have you always been a fan?
Yeah, you know, honestly, part of the reason I'm sitting here is because of comic books. Back in the day, I hated to read as a kid. It drove my mom crazy. She was a teacher. And I think one day my parents just shoved a comic book in my hand and said, you know, just try to entertain yourself. And the stories and the visuals and just that concept of people setting aside their fear, coming together, doing the right thing, being extraordinary, the best version of themselves was just so exciting to me. And now, years later, to not only be able to write comic books, but really through the lens of Black and brown people, of women, of Latinx characters, of characters from the LGBTQ community, same kinds of stories, same kinds of heroism, different daily struggles, but ultimately people coming together, as they say, for truth, justice, and the American way.
All right, so this is one of 5 books in the series. So tell us about the characters in this one.
So the first character that I'm starting with is actually one of the characters that was so influential for me. His name is Jefferson Pierce. He's better known to the greater world as Black Lightning. But he was the first comic book hero in the early 1970s, mid 1970s from DC to have his own series. So imagine being a young Black kid in the 70s. Here's a hero, kind of looks like me. He's a teacher like my mom, incredibly influential. And it's a real blessing for me to years later to be able to tell his story as though he were a real person.
Yeah. He is real to us because we're his family members. It airs right here on Pix 11, so we are part of the Black Lightning family. And you use your voice in so many ways, whether it's through TV, movies, comic books now. You also have a social justice summit that you held virtually last month, which wasn't the only big deal last month, by the way. Because being the stalker that I am, happy birthday! Belated, actually. So how did it go? How did it go this time? And tell people what it's about. This is your second one, so prepare people for the third, because I know there's going to be so much more coming up in the future.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's an amazing city, but unfortunately, by real metric, Milwaukee remains one of the most segregated cities in America. And I started an arts collective there. It's called No Studios. And part of, I mean, look, art for me, you talked about 12 Years a Slave, things I've done like American Crime and Guerrilla. It's so important to bring people together around a communal experience. And we know that entertainment, it touches people, it changes lives in the way that very few things can. So with No Studios, one of the things that we really wanted to do was, again, bring people together around a communal experience. We call it Art Activated. It's our annual social justice summit. It's in conjunction with American Family Insurance, the Milwaukee Bucks, several universities, including Marquette University in Milwaukee. We just try to bring people together from across the spectrum, from across political divides, and work towards real solutions that are in the best interest of everyone. And it was amazing this year. Obviously, so many things like everything else in America and frankly around the world, we had to go virtual, we had to go digital. Yeah. But the blessing was we were actually able to reach more people in more spaces this year than we were in our first year. We hope for a better year next year as well.
All right, so I'm also looking forward to whatever it is you're going to be working with Blumhouse on. I don't like scary movies, but I just know that you're going to terrorize me with this one. And also, since I'm a stalker, I have to find out this, because I know from your IMDb page, is it true that you were on an episode of What's Up, What's Up, What's Up? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Fresh Prince, I think you're talking about, yeah?
It said Martin, that you were a guy in the car, in Martin.
I was, you know what, the thing about being on a sitcom, is every once in a while, writers, we get to sort of nudge our way into the shows. So actually on the Martin show, I wasn't in the show, but they used my car.
Oh,
So yeah, I got paid a fee to have my car in the show, and I was just out of college. So
that is
that was-
amazing. So
yeah,
you
that
know
was like
who
double
else?
dipping.
You know who else has an IMDb page that's not as impressive as yours? Like he shouldn't even mention. I shouldn't even mention in this because it's like just not even making sense.
I have a few things in my IMDb page. Good morning, by the way.
I'm just saying he claims he thinks that's what you guys have in common. So
he's a legend here. I am nobody. I just was in
You're
one
on
episode.
TV every single day. Are you kidding me? You're in New York City.
That's
It
right.
doesn't get better.
oh,
You know what?
Thank you for making
I was
our
on
day.
one episode of Law and Order, and I think I'm like the next big thing.
it feels like 100, sir, because we hear about it every single day. It feels like he's the
time.
star. But Mr. Ridley, can you go back to comedy? Can you do like a romantic comedy? Because I feel like, please, just to make up for my crying from 12, I'm gonna cry anyway for that one too. But can you do a comedy?
I can do scary. I can do relevant. I can do hopefully things that have cultural impact. Romance. Talk to my wife.
A rom-com.
All right, I'm gonna track down Mrs. Ridley and ask her. Can you please talk him into doing it? Thank you so much,
You're
sir.
so impressive.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
So good
Thank you all for having me.
on.
Please stay safe, stay
You
well.
too.
You too. You
Oh,
too,
you're
sir.
so kind.
Such
Thank
a pleasure.
you.